Hello, George. Welcome to Your Game is Garbage. It's just you and me because this week I haven't procrastinated.
Exciting. Well, it's nice to be back and just the two of us like the beginning. I've
Yes,
enjoyed every guest we've had, and I'm looking forward to more guests. But it's nice to go back to our roots
I
sometimes,
can
eh?
uh, I can already say that Jesse will be back as well
Yes.
next month. He will give us an update on where he is with his game. Um, and you have been busy as well. You have
It's
been
been
making board game related videos.
It's been very busy. As many of you may know, I have my creative agency that I work out of, creating videos for the board game industry, whether they are Kickstarter videos or how to plays and things like that. And like you, I'm a filmmaker, so a lot of it is live. But as of late, I've been into 3D animation a lot. So during COVID times, I used it as a opportunity to learn 3D more so. I used to do 3D years ago for the video game industry, but now I'm finding being able to combine all of that stuff and make some videos like that for board games is has been amazing. But it's been very busy too. I'm a little exhausted.
But so the video I'm talking about is the pinball machine video. I don't know what's the name called. What's the game called?
Well, it's actually a marble dispenser type game. It's based on puzzle fighter video
Mm-hmm.
games. If you remember, like those puzzle fighters where it looks like you're having like anime characters or something like Street Fighter characters
Yeah.
fighting, but you're actually matching tiles in the game, and then they kind of have they kind of fight like that. So it's a puzzle fighter, but in
Okay.
this case, it's kind of like the board game itself is like Potion Explosion meets puzzle fighters, and yeah, it was a really cool concept. One of my longtime clients this is one of it's a publisher, Penguin and Panda Productions. They're launching this Kickstarter soon, and this was a teaser. There's gonna be a few more, and then until the main KS video.
Looks more than a teaser. It's like yeah, it's
Well,
pretty long and fleshed out. No.
It's been a work in progress for a while now, because I also have used some of these early projects as an opportunity to learn. So I kind of went overboard at the beginning. Like, if you look at the at the introduction, wanted to build it like an arcade room and have this intro. I'm very proud of this moment of this like slow motion coin. Anyway, so I think they were really excited with it, and I was really excited with it. But yeah, it does feel like more work has gone into it than a quick teaser, and that's because of my excitement of making
Overzealous.
3D videos. Overzealousy, yes. But I'm quite proud of it, and it seems to be doing really well for them. And yeah,
Did they approach you with the rules for the game, or what information did you get to make the video? Because
yeah.
you can't show anything that's wrong or that sets expectations that aren't going to be fulfilled.
Yeah, and it's actually funny you mentioned that, because that's why it is a teaser in a way, because obviously there's no voiceover. It just shows you some highlights from a very little gameplay. So you can imagine what the gameplay will be like, but there's no actual, you don't really necessarily know how the game is played. You can imagine, because it's familiar, like Potion Explosion, you can imagine what the match 3 looks like. So I've had numerous meetings with the publisher and the game designer, and they have the game on Tabletop Simulator, so we can go and play there. So as far as like what I received, initially it was all the artwork, and as artwork changed or updated, I would get the latest. And then an overview of the game at the beginning. The dispenser was a key thing. How does this dispenser
It's like a
work
pinball
and
machine, or it's
operate?
like a
It's like an arcade machine.
it's an
Yeah.
arcade
So
machine. Yeah.
yeah, so they wanted it to have this sort of nostalgia aspect to it. And for me, it's huge because I grew up in arcades. So I love that aspect of it, which is like it played a role in the last moment where the countdown happens. It's like when you run out of quarters. Actually, Gavin from Roxley commented on that. It's like it actually made him sad because he remembers those times where
Yeah.
he was running out of money and he wanted to play more.
And
But
there's
regardless
also,
of
I saw like a mechanic where you put a coin on the machine to reserve your spot or something. Yeah.
yeah, well, actually, because you have a health, like you have 3 health dials for each of your colors. There's because in the
Yeah,
dispenser there's
it's
three
like the
color
discs that
marbles.
broke, or
Yes,
yeah.
and it's like buttons on the arcade machine. It's actually really cool because as your health bars run out, like if you don't have access to your abilities, let's say if your blue dial is broken, you don't have access to those blue abilities anymore, and then there's a way to bring those back, but it affects also how you can take marbles out of the dispenser too. But if all of your dials or buttons are broken, then it's game over. But the coins going into the dispenser, to start the game, you each use one of your 5 coins and you put them in the arcade machine, and then you have 4. In a way, like 5 coins to play with, and if you run out of coins, then you lose the game. It's pretty neat. It's a neat idea.
Looks to me that you know all the rules already.
It's funny because I do and I don't. Because I've been doing so many projects, I've also taken in only as much as I need to make. Yeah, for the main KS video, obviously we're going to include a little bit more details on how to play. And I have a tons of questions usually for the designer or the publisher that if they pertain in a specific part of the video that I need to make sure I get accurately. There was a moment where I had already finished, I rendered something, and I had it wrong. So, or it had like changed, or there's a lot of that happens.
It's a work in progress. Yeah.
It's been a learning experience for both sides, and I also apply these to other projects. Obviously rules are very vital to receive at the very beginning. If I have a chance to play the game with the designer or the publisher,
even
whether
if it's on
online,
Tabletopia or
anywhere, it will give me a much better opportunity also to visualize scenes and how can I make this very cinematic and exciting. Because that's what I love about the 3D is like I can pull off some camera moves that I've been wanting to do in real life with games. Like, that one shot where the marbles fall from the top and then you kind of like all these axes are pivoting and then you kind of see the whole... Anyway, I'm really proud of that, but it's hard to pull off in real life. So
I think it's the most memorable shot of the video, yeah.
Yeah.
If I think of the video, it's that one. Yeah.
Thank you. No, that means a lot. And it was a lot of fun to make, and it's kind of... Well, thanks for the opportunity to talk about it too, because as a game designer too, it's very interesting to break down.
Yeah, because you read the manual of the game in a whole different kind of way, not just to play, but to really understand it. And
yes. And also, it's kind of like, where they call it an elevator pitch. Like when I was in the video game industry, they're like, if you were stuck in an elevator, everybody knows what that means now. But with like a producer or something, like you had like a few seconds to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's the same by creating a video, whether it's 3D or live or whatever, or how do you encapsulate these feelings or the major gameplay moments? So, as a game designer, it's interesting when you start to stop and think. Especially when you've been knee deep into your design, you're like, what makes my game special? What are the core things that people will remember or want to play the game for? So it's interesting to have this side of me to do these kinds of videos. I think it really influences and helps the other side of the game designer in me too, and in a different way that I didn't expect. So
because
cool.
if you would make the video with people around the table going yeah, and actually it's a super dry Euro where you're actually like this all the time. It would mean funny. That you don't understand the rules or that you don't see what the game would be, and I think it speaks for you that you know games. And that's why you can make these kind of videos. I don't think a company that's not used to playing games or even could make this. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that because one of the comments I've received is that because as a game designer, I actually will question things even, especially at an early Kickstarter. There was a video that I was doing and
without becoming a backseat designer.
No, not at all. But I would question. There was like a conflict of rules, and I thought if I show this, it actually goes against this part. And then sometimes I've actually, I'm not I don't want to come across I have a chip on my shoulder, but it was nice to be able to identify some of these issues that the designers or the publishers are like, oh, they didn't think about until we got to that
free
point.
proofreading.
It was, yeah, in a way. No, it's been a blessing, Jerome, to be able to do these, and also, as you know, is my full-time gig now, and I love it. I am super pumped about all the stuff that I've been doing and things that are about to come, and it's been exciting. Are you gonna play this game? Do you think it's in your wheelhouse?
It makes me think a little bit about Dungeon Fumbler, because you said about the combinations you could do, and it was like Street Fighter-esque. Even I think even the font of the letters. I'm not sure if they'll get into trouble with that.
You picked up on that, yeah.
Yeah, but
you picked up
my first thought was like, do they? Is that a font they can use?
It was an arcade font generator inspired by those games. So it comes close, but I believe it's pretty unique. Yeah, but it triggers that nostalgia aspect, I think. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it made me reminiscent of some of the games that I thought of and wanted to make. But I'm not sure I'm gonna play it, but we'll see. It's been a while since I played games. I played Flamme Rouge 2 days in a row, like a tour, like 3 games in a row.
Nice.
That was fun, but else I haven't played, not even online. But what I have been doing, George, and this is what I want to talk about, and I want to ask you what would be best. I made a video, a 5-minute video with the rules of the latest iteration of Catiko, of my Civilization game, and immediately I got flack for it. Like, you can't call it the Civilization game because you're not spending 3 hours playing or whatever. But so my Civilization-esque game. So I made the rules. I tried to cram all the rules in a 5-minute video, just to, not for people who want to play it, but for designers, for on the forums on Facebook, to see what people would think of it. And I think you saw it. I'm not sure.
I was going to say, not only have I seen it, but that echoes what we just talked about. How much did it force you to hone in on those rules? And because you're making a video now, and then you had to like think about it even more, right?
Yes.
You put it all in a video, and then you kind of, because I've seen you show me the game, I've heard you talk about the game. That video though kind of made it even more clear to me about what your vision is, how the game is going to be played. I did read a lot of the comments too, but I think that was a really amazing step for you to do, to put it out there in that format. People can consume it easier, and also provide you the feedback that I think would be really valuable.
And that's where I want to go to the next step. I started making a video with the history of the game, like a designer diary, from the idea to where it is now, to the 5-minute video I made.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yes, but I'm struggling with the format. And as also, it made me dig into all the prototypes and everything I've done thus far. And it's not a very old game, because I saw that I started in October last year, and I stopped testing in January, I think, end of January, because of COVID, and just didn't work anymore. So it was a couple of months since I played it, so I had to refresh the rules as well. And a lot of things came back, like, oh, I was trying this out and I'm not sure I'm going to put this in or not, and stuff like that. So, and the most important thing is that I still like the game. It's still, I'm discovering things that I'm thinking, should I tell the viewer that this kind of strategy emerges, or is it something that I want to keep quiet and that let people discover themselves? Yeah. But in another sense, it's made for board game designers, and I want feedback, and I also want a designer diary that's not something you read, but something you experience or can look at. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we both know that video is such an easy method to not only deliver.
It's easier to write down.
yeah.
It's and a lot
to
of work.
Consume. Yeah, and to consume, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I think I can can get more people to watch it than people to read it.
Yes. And I was very inspired, speaking of Jesse, because of the way that he does his videos. I feel,
That's also one of the reasons I started doing it.
Yeah. So Jesse, if you're listening, thanks for the inspiration. Because I feel, his format and editing style and things like that, it's easy to absorb. And keeps things very interesting as well. So I think you're on the right path. I really was excited to see that first video. I look forward to seeing the history. And
yes. So I'm not sure about the formats. I think as a viewer, I want to see the designer explain more than just see hands and stuff.
That was my only comment about your first video. And that's why I forgot to mention, that's why I brought up Jesse's style, because it was nice to be able to put a face to the voice. And I think if you intercut it, because you're an editor too, I think it would make it more engaging. And I think you're right. I think being able to see you talk and show the game makes sense.
Yes. But it requires a lot of writing and
I don't. Yeah, I'm sure Jesse can tell us how much work goes into his videos. Well. Because I think he makes it look easy, but it is. We all know how hard it is to edit a video like that. So, but for your purposes, obviously Jesse's running a channel. He's also trying to create this game, wants to build a community, support, and all that. What are your goals with these videos for your game? Is it primarily because you want this feedback? Do you want to make like Catiko the best game it can be? Like, how do you envision this for yourself?
I'm making something that I want to see myself, but from others. So I want to maybe start a trend. I don't know, but I want I want more. Yeah, it's easier to consume. I want to see a video. Or it's like we listen to podcasts like Ludology and stuff about board game design. But like Jesse said in his first video, it's more theoretical. But I want to hear somebody talk about how they design their game and not be distracted by the common questions like, did you start with theme or did you start with mechanics? And those kind of interviews, I've heard enough of those. Yeah, but I really want to be able to say, I chose this to start with, and I'll tell you why this is. It's because Max was making a racing game, a UFO racing game, and he brought these tiles. And afterwards he said, "Oh, I'm going to change it." And then I said, "Can I have the tiles?"
and that's how it started.
And that's why I have this one. That's why I started with this. So I like these kind of things. And also, why is there? So this game starts with the market in the middle. And it can hold 3 cubes. Why can it hold 3 cubes? Because I can't fit any more on there. And I didn't want a player board for people. I didn't want the player to have their own supply. I wanted everything to be on the board. So these design choices that I made came from the materials and I like hexes, I like cubes. They're easy to figure out. So that's the reason why this started and how this started and
some might say, some might look at that and say, well, that's kind of a cop out or a need. Like, is that really a designer decision? But I think when I look at that, it makes me feel these are limitations that are really good to set early and then work our design around them. And kind of forces you to have a direction before you even have fully fleshed out the idea. You're just like, does this work? What does that mean if the market's in the middle, if it's hexagons, if it's cubes, if it's only 3, and you start to set those limits, right? And
the core idea of the game was first. It was Gile, one of our guests.
Other guests, yeah.
That came with a civilization game, and I said, it's an interesting question. Can you make a civilization game of under 2 hours? And then I was thinking, what if, like he was showing hexes, I was thinking, what if you're forced to build on spaces that give you resources? Like the woodcutter, you build him next to the forest, and he produces woods in the forest. But then
Yeah.
you're forced to build on that forest, and so the woodcutter becomes less efficient. So, for example, in this example, but this is not a really good one because it's early version. Yeah, here. So, for example, if I would place the woodcutter here, there's 3 forests adjacent. So, if he would produce, I'm not going to explain all the rules, but it's just basically I make the woodcutter produce, so he produces wood in every adjacent forest.
Yes.
And then the idea was, what if I build something, I'm forced to eliminate one of these forests. So next time that I activate the woodcutter, he only produces 2, and so on. So it forces you to move, to expand, and look
yeah.
for
Yeah.
lands. And I thought thematically that works very well as a civilization or city building game,
Yeah.
or population spreading.
And I like that feeling of sacrificing something for something else, which also makes sense. That's interesting. As I was,
But that was the core question, and I wanted to know, and that's why I made this paper version first. I wanted that question answered. Like, is that work? Does that work? And
is it fun?
Yeah.
The more I think about this, your idea about basically what you're hoping to see is like a reality TV show where, you're in a room with the game designer or more, and you're watching them design the process. Because, part of me was thinking, this whole video podcast that we're doing, I really was, you obviously you're the one that's been bringing the designs, and it's been awesome to kind of talk about them and your ideas and things. But it's always like, here's what I have worked on. Let's look at that, blah, blah, and then we talk about it. What if we had like a special episode or a live session where it could be longer even, if people can tune in and watch you or watch us like take something that, a certain stage that you're in the design process and actually watch that.
And work on
it won't have like cool creative camera angles and things like that, but it could be like this. But instead of us like sort of reminiscing about something you've designed and why and things like that, we're actually, knee deep into the process, and it's just and brainstorming, and it's actually happening real time. Because you talked about like starting, a new trend or things like that. But everybody's doing things online now and things like that. So I'm wondering if something like that, or a live session, unedited, unfiltered.
Well, I thought about that too. But in my experience, ideas for board games come in snippets while I'm driving, and this.
Right.
I've never really had like the major changes on this game, and the major ideas came from something that a playtester said, and it only trickles down 3 days later, and I said,
Yes.
oh wait, I can solve it by doing that, or what if I change this? And so I cannot imagine making a game in 1 day, for example.
Of course, yeah. And it wouldn't be like the whole game, obviously. It could be aspects of it. But I'm wondering if there's something there, especially if we they invited the audience to participate, and then they could ask a lot of questions live, on the spot, instead of hoping we cover something that they might be asking. And if we have a few guests maybe with us, or your brother, or, that could be, this is something for maybe, hey guys, what do you think? Yeah, what do you guys want to see? Because I think your idea of creating these videos is great, and you should keep going with that. I love, having guests on this show and talking about some upcoming designs. Hopefully, I can bring some to the table as well soon. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if something like that would be an option.
Yeah.
So, are you? Is because Catiko keeps coming back. I have a feeling that you're really fond of this one. And where are you at with all of the game ideas so far? Like, are you thinking you're moving forward more so with this one?
Yeah, this one is the most finished since Fujikoro, and I've shown it to David Turtzi, famous designer.
Yes.
And he thinks it's publishable, was what he said, but it needs a non-boring theme. That was his feedback.
I love it. Good feedback.
So we'll see. But I'm showing it in Greece. End of August, I'm going to Cardboard and Sun. It's like an informal board game meetup.
Okay. And it's in Greece?
In Greece, in Paros, yeah. And I'm
Oh,
bringing
what?
it, and I'm gonna try and play test it there and maybe pitch it a little bit.
Nice.
Just to practice pitching as well, yeah.
I used to go to Pyros as a kid with my mom all the time.
I bet it's wonderful.
You're gonna love it.
I hope I get to go because it's so risky because I'm also going to Italy the next month in September. And I cannot be sick for that one. It's a job. It's a like 3-week job. And they test me before I get on the plane. So if I test positive, I can't go and I'm not paid. So that's...
Yes.
It's tricky.
It's everything is so tricky these days. If anything, I keep seeing all these 50% off travel to Greece, Aegean Airlines things. I'm very tempted, but being in Canada, it's a lot harder to leave and now and go all the way to.
You have good social security and hospitals, so stay where you are.
Well, yeah. Well, they just introduced masks mandatory for public spaces again, August 1st. So it's been interesting.
People are wearing masks, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Except in Holland, that was a disaster. But yeah, so I went for the whole week, 2 weeks now. I went through all the bits and all the I dug up these things, and this was a problem in the beginning. Like the rules for building buildings, like the cost of building buildings. So you have 5 resources. I think these are even the 5 resources, like wood, grain, stone, ore, and fish, and what each building costs. And one of the first problems of the game was that everybody was sitting like this, playing the game like, okay, what does what cost? What do I want to build? No, what do I have? And so that was a really big problem. And I noticed through the iterations of all the prototypes, like this is the next one. So I had to put, this is the next one, and then this one. I had to put them all in order just to see
the evolution
how
of
it evolved. Yeah. And so, for example, for this one, it's funny because I took the components from Concordia, like the ships and the armies and the houses, and it had 5 different color houses. So I have 5 different color houses here to score.
Right.
And then during a playtest, somebody said, like, why 5? Make it 4. I'm like, yes, why 5? And 4 was much more. It was more interesting. And also, I had problems with the yellow houses because yellow houses looked a lot like yellow cubes. Sometimes they got mixed up by the players that picked up to pay for.
So let me guess, yellow is out.
Yellow is out, yes. And a lot of color problems came up with other stuff. Like the first things was you produce brown cubes on the dark green and yellow cubes on the light green. Green. So that was a nightmare. And it took me a long time before making the spaces brown for brown cubes, yellow for the yellow cubes. And because I thought the forest is green and then you get wood from it. But it was so confusing every time. And players also... And one other problem is the woodcutter. I made it a brown building. It's a little bit washed out now, but...
Yes.
I thought it was logical, like the brown building produces brown cubes. And then players wanted to build it on the forest because that's what most games do. And so it's very counterintuitive, but it's the core of the game, so I couldn't let it go. Like adjacency was producing goods, resources adjacent to your building was important. So that's one thing I've never let go. But yeah.
Interesting.
So these are the things I'm going through.
So those you show, like there are 5 different iterations. How long between them? Like what's the time frame?
Weeks. I really went fast with this one. If it wasn't for Corona, I think I would have already pitched it to a publisher.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
I already pitched it to a publisher. I pitched it to Game Brewer.
Nice.
But I think in January, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's exciting.
But
It
was the
does
finished
seem
game,
you're very passionate about that. I would love to go back to Dungeon Fumbler at some point, but that's okay. I can wait.
But that's what I was talking about. The ideas, they're not coming. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
finding ideas to progress the game. And with this one, I kept finding ideas regularly
Yeah.
enough to have a feeling of progression.
And that's important, of course. Yeah, yeah.
For the enjoyment of designing, yes, because if you're stuck, you're stuck.
Well, and for the benefit of the game design itself, because if you're forcing it, it'll just not gonna happen.
If it's easy to, and not if it's easy, but if you solve your problems in a couple of days after the problems erupt, then it's fun.
Yeah.
But if you're stuck for a month on the same problem,
So then, if it is Catiko, what if next episode, depending whether we have a guest or not, do we want to kind of cover the whole game, where it's at right now? What are things you're still struggling with?
I think that's the video I made, and
Okay.
the thing I'm still struggling with is the layout of the map.
Okay.
I don't, because it's for me, that's all balancing. Actually, I would like, maybe we should invite a developer. That would be fun.
Yes.
I could send the 5-minute video, and then we could talk, and we could explore what a developer could do to make this game better. And I think David is a developer, but I'll ask him. But he's very busy.
Yeah. I can only imagine. That's a good idea. This is where I was going at. What would be next, and how can we follow along with this progression of this game? Because I know we've kind of explored other games and things like that, but it's coming back. So it'd be, I think, really cool for me, for us to discuss, and for the viewers to kind of see what's next. And I think that's
progress
a
the
good angle.
game.
Yeah, just to see what some of the next steps would be.
Because I think our listeners and also have the same feeling. Like I brought this game to where I feel comfortable that I can work on it, and then you hit a wall. Like if it's finished, you sometimes you don't know it's finished. You're thinking because you see all the issues and stuff, but sometimes you just need a developer. Yeah, and I think I'm at that stage.
And this is another suggestion. As people follow along, perhaps, and they want to see more, what if you recorded a playtest as an optional thing for people to watch?
Yeah. That was what I was going to do in January, February.
All right, see? So,
that was the idea for the podcast as well. Because because I wanted to do a hands-on game design thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to start a game from scratch. That's why I pitched all these different ideas. But this one is further along. I lost my train of thought.
That's all right. I was going to add to that, say, what if also the next step would be we could play test with people who aren't in the same room even, and what if we made it, made a version of it for Tabletopia or, a tabletop simulator.
I draw all my things. Everything is handcrafted. I can't computer.
I know. I'm sure.
I have to translate this into Tabletopia.
You'll just send me all the art files and I can do it. But this would be something like down the road.
I have to make art files.
No, just take pictures of what you've drawn. But anyway, that could be fun too. But because then we can also do a Tabletopia recording or a live session too for people to come watch. Us exploring the game by playtesting it. But I would even be very interested to watching a playtest of this game because I think not only will it give me a better understanding of the game, but it could also help with that understanding of in the life of a game designer, playtesting is so important. So I think it'd be really neat to see a playtest and also see because you have these forms that you have people fill out, the kinds of things you want people to give you feedback on. Because I think as a designer watching the show, I might get a lot out of just even realizing the things I want people to give me feedback on, stuff like that. And if any of our viewers have any ideas of what they would like to see, because I'm learning so much out of this process, and I'm hoping and want people to have, that they can take a lot out of these video sessions we have. Because there's a lot in that brain of yours, Jerome. We just want to fish it all out of you.
I wish I could fish it all out.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
but the playtesting is the most important because you can see the 5-minute video with the rules, but it will never show you how it plays because Jesse commented on the video like, "Oh, is there enough interaction between the players?" And I immediately said, "Yes, there's only interaction because after 3 rounds, the map begins to become much more cramped, and you get interaction anyway. You
Yes.
can stay on your own little corner of the world, but it's not how you win."
Yeah, yeah. But see, that exactly answers that. Like you can imagine it, or but it's better if you can see it. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, are good with following rules, but when they start the game, that's when they actually start to get it.
Yeah, and I haven't play tested it. I didn't do blind play tests yet, so I haven't written out. I written out all the rules, but I've always been the person explaining the game, and so
Yeah.
that's like an indicator of if it's intuitive or not.
Yeah.
But that's something that I have to explore yet. Yeah. But I could organize a playtest with 4 people here. Yeah,
I'd
And
be
we could save
interested to watching that. Yeah.
or maybe
Yeah.
on Twitch or YouTube Live. Stuff
I was
like
gonna say something live would be even cool too, and then in far in advance to let people know that it's happening and they can come join it
that. Yeah, let's do that, George.
and ask questions. And then I'll be there too. I mean, I won't be able to play obviously, but
You'll be the moderator.
I can also let you know as people ask questions and things like that.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice if you read
Yeah.
out, because when I explain this game to other designers, they usually write a whole a linear of, "Oh, maybe
Yeah.
you should do this and make it this
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this
yeah,
and
yeah.
this." And oh, please. Yeah, sometimes it's overwhelming. Yeah.
But watching it being played out, and as you guys are in the room, those questions would be maybe easily answered as
Yeah.
well. So I'm
We'll do
excited
that.
for that
Yeah.
idea. That would be a cool idea. But let us know what you think, everyone. We're trying to give you guys.
If you're game, yes. If you want to watch us play this game,
Yeah.
that would be nice.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Awesome. I'm really happy for your progress, and it's cool to see you like excited and honed into one of the ideas.
I'm happy. And on that note, we will stop this episode.
Yes. As always, Jerome, it's nice to
Yeah,
see
it's
you,
fun.
and it's good to see that your game is still garbage.
It's still garbage, yes. And you should see the table. It's very garbagey.
Oh, I love
And
it.
my
But
computer on the 2 Fujikoros.
that's amazing. Well, see, it's like an what's the word? Not an analogy or allegory. Oh no, I don't even know the right word. But you're using your previous games and the experience that came along with it as your foundation.
Yes.
No, anyway, I'll stop
It's my
talking now.
It's my stepping stone. Yeah. No, it's it's fun to work with it again, and to see ideas that I think, oh, this was a good idea. To be humble, but I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when this idea came, like the idea of the shacks, the government buildings that you can, when you use the question mark on the dice to do
Yes.
whatever you want, you have to destroy a government building, which is actually like science. And I thought, oh, it's great thematically. You're rushing your population to do something, so and the cost of it is the destroying knowledge. Yeah,
I like that. See, I think you can tell you're excited about that. These moments, but it's
Yeah,
funny because you're relishing on the good stuff too. I would be very like relishing on all the bad choices that I made.
well, the ships are still haunting me.
I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But so I've now recorded 10 minutes of video of just top down moving stuff and voiceover talking.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's not working. I think it's
Okay.
too monotone and just too much. It's a lot of information as well.
Yeah.
That's I don't want to make it too long, so I'm just speeding through 7 iterations of this game, and it's hard. Yeah.
I think what I think really worked today is like to see the progression of like that one thing, you know, and
Yeah.
you just focused on that one thing, and you said, "Hey, look at all these different ways that this excelled, the evolution of this particular aspect."
Well, I'm telling you things that I've already told in the video. So
Yeah.
how I've set up the video is introduction, and then every aspect. So I'm talking about the evolution of the tile.
Okay.
Just the tile. Then it went from this.
Oh, perfect.
To this.
Perfect.
And from that, it went to where are they? This and this.
Yeah.
And then
that's exciting. That's exciting to me.
And then it's finally in the end. Now it's this.
Yeah, so that's exciting to me. Yeah,
what I was thinking every time I changed stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
For
that.
these things, it was mostly the color and the black things and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I talk about all these kind of things. Yeah.
That's exciting to me too. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then I talk about the dice, how they evolved, and I talk about the actions, how they evolved, the buildings, how they evolved, the theme, how it evolved and didn't evolve. So yeah, but it's been a lot of work, but I think I just have to do the theme and a couple of the last buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
nice.
Not sure.
That big sigh of I have so much more work left. Yeah.
But I feel like it's work that's not gonna pay off because I want to change it already. But if I change it, I have to rewrite everything. And I have to think about how I'm going to film it to keep it interesting.
Yeah. You'll figure it out.
Do I want to do it? That's the problem.
Well, this is why I was asking you earlier, what do you hope to get out of that? You know, obviously show people the process and stuff. I think your game is garbage as a vehicle to offer this kind of information to people is your original goal. You know, like you wanted to start your game is garbage. It's the same, you know, value and goal you had from the beginning. It's just how you're trying to find ways. And I think it's a great thing to explore what is the best way to provide this information. Because I'm also curious to find out like what are people getting out of these videos versus other types of videos that you will make. You know, what's useful to them? Like, because time is valuable. You know, watching us just go back and forth talking about stuff. Is it exciting? Is it interesting? Is it informative to people? That's what I want to know, and we can, you know, improve on the way that we produce these, or the way that we
that's why I wanted to talk about the video that I'm making, not per se the game, but about how I'm gonna communicate my ideas. But essentially I'm making a video that I wanted to see when I started to make Fujikoro.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's super important. So I mean, if you feel like that's still strong and strong need and something you want to do, then that's what's going to drive it.
If one person makes a good game because he saw my video, I'm happy.
It's like, going back to that video that I made, I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for hundreds of hours of tutorials I watched. And even as I'm working on it, I need something. It's amazing. The YouTube and the world of the internet right now is amazing. I literally would be faced with a wall or an issue or something that I needed to overcome. Like, this doesn't look right the way that I want it. How do I make this work? Instantly, just within 5 seconds, I had an answer, I had implemented it, and I could move forward. It was amazing. It was amazing to be able to go through that experience. And it's never ending. Like, I still, even yesterday, I needed something new. I learned how to do it. And that's what you want to create. You want to create resources for people who are game designers and want to learn about this stuff and help them create something amazing.
Yes. I'm gonna use that as ending.
Perfect.